What's behind the Sphinx's ear? Hidden in plain sight for many a millennia, there is clearly a blocking stone still in place. A blocking stone we would never have noticed if it weren't for a rather unusual source of information. Recently, we covered the amazing story of Kiprianovich Boriska, the extraordinarily intelligent boy from Russia that, from a young age, has supposedly been able to remember a past life, a life as a pilot upon the once flourishing planet Mars, destroyed during a catastrophic war. What is extraordinary regarding this claim, however, is the remarkable information that Boriska has somehow been able to share from a very young age, information which has taken astronomers many years to realize. According to Boriska, life on Earth will change irrevocably when the Great Sphinx is unlocked, using a mysterious mechanism behind one of its ears. Unfortunately, he has not given any further details about what exactly the opening of the Sphinx will do, though this was enough for us to notice the anomaly resting upon this very ancient monument. Boriska has unfortunately since disappeared. However, while in the public eye, he claimed that he was a reincarnated soldier, placed here upon Earth to avert the same destructive fate as Mars, claiming that many of his kind exist upon the Earth, calling them indigo children, often stating all of this while in a trance, which is highly compelling, as he is not the only one who once prophesied very similar astonishing developments that would, one day, arise surrounding the Great Sphinx. Edgar Cayce, an American Christian mystic, would often answer questions on subjects such as healing, reincarnation, wars, Atlantis, and future events, also while in a trance. Was Cayce also an indigo child? Graham Hancock is another figure who has publicly claimed that there are many mysteries still left to be unraveled surrounding the Sphinx, specifically that a time capsule is hidden within the Sphinx, a capsule that we will only discover as a species once we are intellectually capable of absorbing its message. When it was shared within the mainstream media recently that an enormous cavity had indeed been quietly discovered within the Great Pyramid of Khufu, the largest of the Great Pyramids, the only one with tunnels constructed within its inside, and additionally, the only one which is, in fact, 8-sided. The reaction by the Egyptian Antiquities authorities was very revealing of their attitude towards secrets being revealed to the public. Not only were the claims made from reliable sources, but they are also backed up by extensive research projects, and indeed, its resulting evidential data. However, this has not deterred Professor Zawi Hawass from publicly denying any such cavity's very existence, shrugging off all claims and accompanying research as, quote, lies and hearsay. With such enormous hurdles in place, prepared to stifle any such discoveries from going public, it is inevitably going to be an uphill battle to expose the truth regarding the Great Sphinx of Giza.
The Great Sphinx is among the Earth's greatest cultural mysteries. In the 1930s, self-styled prophet Edgar Cayce predicted that the secrets of the Sphinx would be revealed sometime in the 1990s, and Cayce, it turns out, may have been right.
10,500 BC, this is when the Sphinx is gazing directly at his own image, the constellation of Leo. And if we are to turn 90 degrees and face due south, we would see the 3 stars of Orion's belt in a pattern that mimics exactly the pattern of the pyramid on the ground. So we have here a perfect conjunction taking place only and only in 10,500 BC.
But history books teach us that in 10,500 BC, our human ancestors were still in a primitive state, incapable of the advanced astronomical and engineering skills necessary to build great monuments.
We're suggesting that the entire foundation on which our notion of human history rests is faulty.
Ancient Egypt, the land of secrets, the land of kings. There are certain things in life that outweigh all others, burning questions regarding the most important aspects of all of us. To fully understand ourselves, I believe it is imperative that we strive to understand where we came from. This quest for the truth is the driving force behind mystery history. The answers to this question, where did we come from, I feel is more valuable than sovereignty, more valuable than wealth and power. Something that should not be concealed for any reason. Egypt is an amazing place, which opens its doors to many of its valuable treasures. However, the most amazing finds, the most amazing objects I have discovered, remain hidden. Hidden in vaults that may still be flooded with the sea waters that swallowed ancient Egypt. Rooms with treasures that, if as old as the erosion of their protective Sphinx, may be over 12,000 years of age, artifacts which possess great power, the power to rewrite human history.
I'm Mark Lehner, and I'm here at the Great Sphinx of Giza on behalf of Dr. Zahi Hawass, helping him out on drilling that we're doing underneath the Sphinx. In our first hole here will be underneath the Sphinx's left paw.
Perhaps the most visible example of an advanced civilization in Egyptian prehistory is at the Great Sphinx itself. Although the head was quite obviously recarved in dynastic times, the body and the man-made courtyard in which it sits show signs of heavy water weathering.
We think that all the indications suggest that a time capsule was deliberately concealed at Giza in Egypt with the intention that it should be found one day, a time capsule that would abolish all ambiguity over this matter and make it absolutely certain of what had gone before and of what we have forgotten, but a time capsule that was not intended to be found by barbarians, that was hidden away very carefully to be found, as the ancient texts say, by the fully worthy. Perhaps that's who we are. Perhaps that time has come. Perhaps that's the decision and the awe-inspiring prospect that we confront in the near future.
The right to open the chamber under the paws of the Sphinx is something of a political game these days, and the Egyptian government is holding all the cards. Only they know when and if the secrets of the Sphinx will be revealed to the world.
Expeditions between 1991 and 1993, led by the independent Egyptologist John Anthony West, with Chief Geologist Dr. Robert Schoch, Professor of Geology at Boston University, and Chief Seismologist Thomas Dobecki from a highly respected Houston consulting firm, conducted geological and seismic surveys around the Great Sphinx of Egypt. They concluded as follows: the pattern of erosion on the Sphinx indicates that it was carved at the end of the last ice age, when heavy rains fell in the eastern Sahara, more than 12,000 years ago. This contrasts starkly with the orthodox Egyptological dating for the Sphinx of around 4,500 years. The seismic survey indicated the existence of several unexplored tunnels and cavities in the bedrock beneath the Sphinx, including a large rectangular chamber at a depth of some 25 feet beneath the monument's front paws. In 1993, John West and his team were physically expelled from the site by Dr. Zahi Hawass, the Egyptian government's chief inspector of antiquities for the pyramids and Sphinx. He was angered by the suggestion that the Sphinx may be far older than the civilization of Egypt itself. A film created from the data linked the Sphinx to the lost city of Atlantis and suggested that the chamber beneath the paws might contain the legendary Hall of Records of Atlantis. American psychic Edgar Cayce, who died in 1947, prophesied this exact event occurring in the 90s. If his predictions were accurate, then whatever was discovered has been covered up. The Hall of Records is said to be an ancient library, rumored to have been deposited at the time of King Imhotep in Giza, Egypt, though no one knows where. One suggestion has been that it was secreted away under the Great Sphinx of Giza, with a secret entrance to this layer located near the Sphinx's paws. Dozens of academic researchers and historical commentators have come to similar conclusions, such as Manethu and Plutarch. It houses the knowledge of the pre-dynastic founders and latter Egyptians on papyrus, and allegedly several inscribed golden metal plate scrolls with the partial history of the lost civilization of Atlantis, much as the Great Library of Alexandria housed Grecian knowledge. The entirety of the ancient Egyptians' knowledge, the builders of the Great Sphinx, the pyramids, etc., is said to be held within this place. You have to wonder what could be contained within these documents that would lead to a huge concealment of this wonder. Does it prove our origins are extraterrestrial? Does it tell of us terraforming the Earth while our home planet died? Do these ancient passages contain a Vimina? Or an alien craft? Does the library tell of us being visited? Without the world having access to these elusive tunnels beneath the Great Sphinx, all we can do for now is wonder.
Giza is a literal treasure trove once lost to antiquity. Due to the sheer enormity of the Great Pyramid and its two slightly smaller neighbors, it's undoubtedly the greatest ancient wonder anywhere on Earth. A smorgasbord of mysteries drenches the plateau and beyond. Throughout Egypt, incredibly intricate, accurately carved, enormous stone megaliths and surviving temples can be found. The Great Pyramid of Cheops, which contains the claimed sarcophagus of Khufu, which would not have fitted into the structure, this regardless of how they created such enormous yet astoundingly plumb structures, set over such a large area of space and indeed with the weight of the stones used. The global alignments to these monuments also match the known speed of light. The depth of the mysteries of ancient Egypt we have only but scratched the surface of. We do not know how the pyramids were built, and we are no closer to an explanation which is logical for why they were constructed, regardless of the illogical rubbish taught today, than when rediscovered. One said mystery is yet another curiosity surrounding water, the other namely the water controversy of the erosion of the Sphinx.
The severe undulating erosion upon the walls of the Sphinx enclosure undoubtedly show that the Sphinx had been heavily weathered long before the Sahara became a desert. Therefore, one must suspect that it could indeed be over 9,000 years old. Not knowing exactly how much rainfall there's been in the distant past, the Sphinx could indeed be far older than this. The most notable scholarly advocates, Robert Scotch, argues that the Sphinx may be far older than 12,000 years. Robert Bauval and Graham Hancock proposed that the Sphinx may have been built around 10,500 BC, during the last age of Leo. Anthony West believes everything on the Giza Plateau testifies to an advanced, secure, and long-settled civilization. Therefore, he suggests that the Sphinx may have been built not during the age of Leo, but a whole precessional cycle earlier, in around 36,000 BC. A date he feels is more in keeping with the history of Egypt as chronicled by certain Egypt kings. We fortunately know from analysis that the limestone blocks dug out from there were then used within the building of nearby Sphinx Temple. Interestingly, no other site in Egypt shows the same type or degree of erosion.
It pertains to a dusting of curious drainage systems found built into, or rather just below, original temple structures. The peculiar thing regarding the enigmatic flow chambers is not only their tiny size, as if harvesting rather than to be used for ancient drainage of precipitation. However, if indeed proven for the removal of rainwater, it would defend additional alternative historical theories regarding the posit of how the Sphinx lost its nose to rain. This pushes its date of construction, however, into an era not acceptable within modern paradigm. What were these curious channels? What were they constructed for? The channels focused upon in this video can be found protruding from beneath the north side of the Sphinx Temple. These enigmatic channels have been studied and examined by a number of Egyptologists and enthusiasts alike. The diagrams created showing inner designs of these mysterious features have shed no light on their original purpose, as if one did indeed simply perceive them as drainage systems. They are practically far too small in diameter. Additionally, this channel in particular actually angles inwards toward the temple itself, as if the creators were instead feeding fluid into the temple itself. The mystery remains unsolved, yet regardless, we find these anomalous channels highly compelling.
The Great Sphinx of Egypt is the largest stone monolith statue on Earth. It took nearly 20 years to fully excavate the Great Sphinx. Since this time, the Sphinx has undergone a lot of restoration, no longer taking on the appearance of being unfinished, or to the keener-eyed, severely eroded. Why alter such an important artifact? Why not preserve them in their found state? After all, we have no idea of what the builders initially intended them to look like. Just how old are these statues? Are they even older than the pyramids? I tend to suspect yes. Not only do they show evidence of millennia of rainfall, but also submersion under salt water. But the most intriguing fact about the Sphinxes is their hidden openings. Openings I suspect were the reason for the quote, restoration. One of the outcomes of these modern manipulations upon the most important ancient monument on Earth was the concealment of hidden passages that dot the Sphinx's design. Many initial reports of the Sphinx included details of 3 or 4 openings around the Sphinx leading to complex tunnel systems, containing tombs with alien artifacts. Something within these tunnel systems prompted the Egyptian government and even the CIA to step in and restrict access on the grounds of, quote, the nation's security. What is a Sphinx? Why choose this creature to devote such effort into creating? A strange story about the Great Pyramid of Giza appeared in the March 2000 issue of the Egyptian magazine Rose El Yousef. According to the article in 1988, French Egyptologist Louis Caporat discovered an alien mummy within a secret room found in a crystalline transparent case. It was believed to be a hybrid, which is a mix between an extraterrestrial race and human DNA. A papyrus found near the body tells of this being's encounter with the pharaoh Khufu. According to ancient codes, anonymous source at the Egyptian Antiquities Department, the mummy of what appears to be an alien had inscriptions upon the tomb that showed that this was being a counselor to the pharaoh and was named Osirune, meaning star or sent from heaven. The body was said to have been buried with great respect and care and was accompanied by a number of strange artifacts made of a synthetic material that is not found in any other Egyptian tomb. Also, the source claimed it's unclear what sex it was, but it had unusual reptilian-type skin, no external ears, and overly large almond-shaped eyes. The source claimed that the discovery has caused great controversy among Egyptian officials, who want to keep it hidden until a plausible explanation for the strange mummy can be made. Numerous select specialists have visited the site. Regardless of the wild claims, there are indeed tunnels beneath the Sphinx, and they have been covered up by authorities for some reason. According to author Peter Tompkin in his book Secrets of the Great Pyramid, some Arabian authors have reported that Al-Mamun found a sarcophagus with a stone statue in the shape of a man. They say that within the statue lie a body wearing a breastplate of gold set with precious stones, an invaluable sword on his chest, and a carbuncle ruby on his head the size of an egg, which shone like the light of day. With many of the tunnels beneath the Sphinx being unexplored, but according to geophysical surveys, containing large unknown metal objects, it is only a matter of time before Egypt's secrets are out in the open. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.
We recently covered the ongoing debate regarding the true age of the Great Sphinx and the recent controversy found in the geological evidence, which indicates that the monument, long taught to be a mere 3,000 years old, is, in reality, as much as 800,000 years. This evidence is based on erosion patterns and their shared characteristics with coastal erosion patterns. Additionally, we also covered the remarkable discovery of a possible second Sphinx found a short distance away. However, what we didn't cover was the anomalies that can be discovered regarding the continued mainstream posit of the Sphinx experiencing modern manipulation, and the possibility that the face now found upon the Sphinx was a much later, even possibly modern addition, now concealing the true identity of the Sphinx. We have touched upon the rather amateurish stone cuts that are visible around the Sphinx's headwear in the past, along with its ears and many other interesting yet largely unknown, and we feel academically ignored features found all over the Sphinx's face and head. From the neck down, the Sphinx still shows its age in all its glory, not only a match to the far more eroded, now unrecognizable second monument found a short distance away, The question is if mainstream academics or those bestowed with the responsibility of protecting the Sphinx were not aware of the controversy in regard to the Sphinx's true identity all these years ago, then why did they do these works? Why did they clearly implement great efforts, and clandestine at that, if they were not aware of its fragile and seemingly hung existence? Hung off a far older relic, not only hiding its true age, but continually pushed as the authentic original appearance of this great monument. Not only is our evidence mounting in regard to the true age of the Great Pyramids, and possibly for this exact reason, the numerous additional works, clearly made by later yet also advanced ancient, now lost civilizations, are now visible to all who visit these monuments. But it seems that the cracks are also beginning to form, thankfully only within the modern paradigms, in regard to the true identity and true age of the Sphinx as well. Who built the Great Sphinx? Who added the head we see today, one now synonymous with the plateau? Why were manipulations done to the head, clearly to preserve it, yet in complete secret? We find our research and the mounting evidence supporting our posits highly compelling.